lightning ship, and we got they just had this food all piled up there. And we'd go down and start piling it on, and the ensigns would, Marines would say, "What are you doing here?" "Oh, working detail. We're getting food." And we'd pick up all these gallon cans, see? And we'd take them back to where we were hanging out. And we'd get up in the morning and we'd say, "What do we have for breakfast?" "Oh, let's have bacon and eggs." So we'd open up a can and it would be asparagus, see?
There were no labels.
The names had all been washed off, see? Then we'd say, "What else do you want?" "Oh, well, let's have some toast." We'd open up another can and it would be peaches. So we'd have asparagus and peaches for breakfast. On top of a the fire tower.
Where was that?
On top of the fire tower.
There, on Fort Island?
On Fort Island. It's where they hung the hoses up to dry. And I'll tell you, it used to be a gravel roof. And right now, I don't want to sleep on a gravel roof, but by God, it was comfortable. And we had no blankets, but we went down and borrowed some from the BOQ.
Tell me about going on the Indianapolis.
Oh, that was when the Indianapolis came in.
We went up there to eat?
No, I had a friend on there, and I went over and short-armed him. I was a signalman, you know. And I says, "How about coming aboard for a bath?" Oh, crotch sores all over. And he says, "Sure, come on." And this poor little ensign, he just come in, and he saw all these bodies, all this smoke coming around, you know. He wouldn't let me aboard, so he called the captain. The captain comes down and he says, "Tuck, do you know this guy?" "Yeah, I went to school with him." "Okay, take him down to the Master-at-Arms office and get some clothes for him." And he said, "I want you to report to me in an hour that this man has left the ship." So I thought I was doing pretty good. As we walk across the quarterdeck, he says, "Oh, Tuck, take him down to the mess hall and get him a meal." The first meal I'd had in about 10 days. But I had to get off in an hour. But I got a bath and I got a meal. And the mess cooks cooked me eggs and steak. Yeah, that was good. 13 months one time.
Yeah, I was on that first grade.
Oh, that first grade? No, I didn't make that. No, I didn't make that.
How many? Thank you, sir. Edwin Baumhart of Ojai, California sends regards to all his shipmates. A recent operation kept him from attending this reunion. Thank you, Alex. How many of you folks were at the San Jose reunion? Good. Well, you all remember that the marvelous talk that Mayo Simon, the screenwriter, made, and he is working on this movie, this 2-hour movie script that tells about the Oklahoma, the sinking and the rescue of the men that were trapped. So he brought us up to date. I'll try to read this pretty fast, the whole page here. He sent this letter here to Al Ellis. It's, Dear Al, it's hard to believe that a whole year has gone by since the last Oklahoma reunion in San Jose. But now that you will soon be on your way to Kansas City, let me give you an up-to-date on the Oklahoma television film. I rewrote the script once more in September and October, and then gave it to NBC for a final decision. They held on to it for several more months, and then finally turned it down in March. It was just too expensive for them. The producers sent it to CBS, where it sits now waiting for their judgment. Everyone feels that it's an excellent script and that someone will eventually do it. But it is big and expensive, and that will continue to be a problem. As I said last year when I spoke to the Association of San Jose, the best part of this project for me was getting to know the men who served in the Oklahoma, and also the shipyard workers from the Pearl Harbor Naval Shipyard who were involved in the rescue. I'm sorry to have to report to you that Joe Bulgo, I'm sure you fellows remember the man that we honored, the shipyard worker you honored last year died a few weeks after the reunion. His wife told me he had been determined to stay alive long enough to say hello to the men he had rescued so many years ago. It was very nice of the association to give Joe the recognition he had long been denied. I hope you have a successful reunion in Kansas City. Please give my thanks and my greetings to all those who were so kind to me and my wife last year. It was a memorable experience for us. I hope to have better news for you about the television film sometime during the coming year. And we send our best regards to Penny. I don't have no idea who Penny is. Anyway, you can recall that this guy is a top writer. This is his first experience in trying to write a movie. He has produced shows on Broadway, and I, for one, feel very confident that he'll finally put this over. But it is a very, very expensive thing to put on. And as the things are in Hollywood and with the television shows, they are really cutting back. And you can appreciate and know that they're cutting back for some of the lousy shows that they're putting on. So anyway, so that's the letter from Mayo Simon. Now let me see, where do I go from here? Oh, while I'm read this about this Edwin, I want to give you Steve Young's best regards. He sends his best regards. Steve Young, you remember, was one of the men that was rescued, one of the 32, and he has moved to Honolulu. Have you met him down there? Yes. Well,
I
good.
talked to him on the phone, never met him.
Fine, fine. So that's that. Now I'm going to introduce to you the very distinguished head table. Now on my right, which is your left, if you boatswain mates, that's down there. Our ambassador, Smitty. I don't want to call him Marion Smith because he gets mad at me. And his lovely wife, Sandra, would you step up, stand up and take a bow. And then the chaplain, Bob Burns, and his wife, Mary. And of course, our skipper, Roger Fensler. And of course, you know me, which is probably one of the saddest days of your life. And over here is Al Hotel with his wife, Marlon. Al is our historian. And next is that lovely little lady that I mentioned about Penny in the letter. That's Penny over there. And Al Ellis, who is our paymaster. Now we have a special guest here who is the last surviving member of the shipyard workers that got the 32 back. He's the last one, and we invite him up here. We want to honor him. It's Richard Goins, who's down here at the head table. Richard, would you want to say a few words? Come up here.
I'm not a politician. I
Well,
can't make speeches.
that's okay. You'll do good as some politicians that I know.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I've been introduced already, so I won't go through that. One thing I got deep in my heart, I want to get it over right now. I rescued the first 4 men. If there's any one of them, or all of them, I haven't met them yet, and I'd like to meet them. Now, to go on with my little speech here, I appreciate what the Oklahoma has done. They made our day. I had a little onion skin paper with about a paragraph and a half on it for a citation. Why I kept that thing 46 years, the good keeping of my wife. It's hard to get up here and speak before you people because I remember the days. I'm glad that we did all we could do, and I sure appreciate you people getting behind us and getting the plaque and getting us established again. We was forgotten. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. And, but I'd like to introduce the 32 that came back. And every year when we have this, we mention who's here, and the 32 that came back. And we thank the Lord that they did come back. Why did God pick those guys, I'll never know, but we're damn glad that he did, believe me. Now, Bounds, Junior Bounds, would you stand up? Where are you? George D. Long. And our paymaster, Al Ellis. And Bob West. And Russ Davenport. They were the ones that were part of the 32 that came back, and I have listened to some of the stories, especially the first time I ever met Russ. And believe me, he had a story to tell. It really was an experience. Russ says he really wasn't frightened until all the lights went out, and it was absolutely pitch cold black. And then that's when they start to feel, well, this is it. Well, anyway, you all know about that. Let's see, what else do I have here? I didn't know that. Gee, Al Hotel just told me that D. Long was the last guy that they cut out. Is that right? Huh? Yeah, well, where in the hell were you? They were looking all over for you.
What is it?
He was the smallest in the department.
Now, we have a guest speaker here tonight, Mr. Joe Todd from the state of California. Well, you see where my mind is. The state of Oklahoma. I'm sorry, Joe.
No, we own California, took it back in the 30s.
So, would you care to come up and give us some of your words of wisdom? Yeah. Well, Tom Bradley, the mayor of Los Angeles, told me to mention California.
Thank you. I was going to say we took California in 1933, didn't fire a shot. We're trying to give it back now. You know, it's an honor for me to be here because the U.S.S. Oklahoma is now an obsession with me. And I've met the first person that served in the U.S.S. Oklahoma about 11 or 12 years ago. That was Joe Lauder from Shawnee, Oklahoma. He's had a stroke and he couldn't be here. And he told me what he did, and that just piqued my interest. You know, I saw the anchor in downtown Oklahoma City for years. And I first learned of this association in 1976. I attended the first meeting and brought the punch bowl from the Oklahoma We're meeting there in Oklahoma City. We are now planning a monument to the Oklahoma in Oklahoma City. It's going to be a granite monument with the names of the men killed in the Oklahoma that went down with the ship. We hope to have this monument dedicated in the meeting in Oklahoma City in 1990. And I have completed 26 interviews. I'm sorry, Mr. Pitts and I have completed 26 interviews at this reunion. I have learned so much about the Oklahoma, and I can't thank you enough for sharing the information that you have, because we are determined to save the history of the U.S.S. Oklahoma, and a book will come out, and we discussed the title, and we thought the title would be Oklahoma, the Remembrance of a Great Lady. And the book will be all the interviews that we have done, and we now have almost 50 interviews. And we're going to collect as many as we can. The book will come out December 7th of next year, we hope. Be published by OU Press, University of Oklahoma Press. I've had one meeting with them, and they're interested in publishing the history. And again, I want to thank you, because it's an honor for me to be here, to meet with all of you. And again, I want to thank you for sharing the stories that you have to help us preserve the history of the Oklahoma in remembrance of a great lady. Thank you.
Incidentally, our 1990 reunion is going to be in Oklahoma City. I don't know whether the fellows told you women that or not. We were there once before, and believe me, they rolled out the carpet for us. They have one of the anchors is downtown at Victory Square. The helm is the rear one from the rear, wasn't it, Al? Yeah, is there. All the beautiful sterling silver out of the wardroom is in the state capitol in their building behind glass. And Admiral Kirkpatrick, retired Admiral Kirkpatrick, he took the whole crew, all of us, there to the Cowboy Hall of Fame. It was very, very interesting. He treated every one of us. The only disappointing thing about it, there wasn't a Jewish cowboy in that whole damn place.
What to do with that one?
There was this burglar that broke into this house. Very dark. Got into this room. He saw a couple of red eyes looking at him. And the voice says, "Jesus is watching you." Well, he shook him up. So he run his hand across the wall, turned on the switch, and the light come on, and there's a real vicious-looking Doberman Pinscher in the corner looking at him. But alongside the dog is a parrot, and it's the parrot that's doing the talking. So this burglar says, look at the parrot, and says, "Is that the only thing you can say?" He says, "No, sick 'em, Jesus." Now I'll sit down and have another bite, and then I'll get back up and tell you another one.
Can you reach the butter out of here?
Hell and ass is right in the Bible. They're not cuss words. He says it's right here in the Bible. He looked at it, he said, "By golly, it is." Well, they went downstairs for breakfast. He sat at the table, and the mother come out and says, "I see my two little boys are ready for breakfast." "Well, Jimmy, what would you like to have?" He says, "Ah, hell," he says, "I'll have a bowl of Cheerios." Man, she smacked him in the face and says, "Don't you ever say that again." She says, I'll wash your mouth out with soap. Do you understand? She says, ma'am. And she says, Jackie, what do you want to eat? He says, well, you can bet your ass I ain't going to ask for Cheerios. Sal Cohn had a clothing store in a small town on Friday night. He'd go to synagogue for services. Well, this one particular night, he went up, walked into the synagogue, and the woman was standing there, and she says, Mr. Cohn, she says, you're a salesman. He says, pardon me. I have to stop and think for a minute. It's an old joke. She says, your business is open. He says, don't tell me my business is open. He says, every Friday night I'm a religious man. He says, I close my business. He says, and I leave it up. Here I am in the synagogue. And he got real mad and walked away into the synagogue. Well, after the services were over, he went home. And as he went to the house and started to undress, he realized what this woman was trying to tell him. That his zipper in his pants was open. Oh, he felt terrible. So he got on the telephone and he called Mrs. Rosenberg. He says, Mrs. Rosenberg, he says, when I was coming to the synagogue, you tell me, he says, my business is open. I'd like to ask you a question. She says, what's that? He says, was my salesman in or out? I guess that's
He retired as a Marine.
Many of you know that I have a very, very warm and deep spot in my heart for the Irish people. That's why old Bob Maloney and I get along real good. Now, I read this in Dubuque when we first went, I guess it was about 9 years ago. And I would like to read this verse again. Very dear to my heart, and I'm sure that you'll love it. And it's entitled 11 O'Clock Mass. The snows were blowing out of doors, the drifts were piling high, and I could see pedestrians as they were passing by. The faces of my Irish friends came dimly through the glass as they trudged the icy streets to worship at their Mass. I watched a while and then went back to bed and cuddled safe and sound as they braved those icy blasts with a sacred duty bound. I envy them their strength of heart, the faith that they renew, but on a nice cold Sunday morning, it's great to be a Jew.
I'll have to always have double tomatoes.
We get another blitz, they don't know how many people get killed off. And they'd always still have another man.
How many of you remember poor old Bergner?
Backup man.
Remember the old man Bergner? No, don't remember.
But 5 or 6 was kind of heavy.
Well, that's the way it was.
You want me to use that?
Don't shut him up. You start telling me about the Indian War, World War I, and everything.
Hey,
What do you want to do?
You want me to film it?
Yeah.
Use the video?
Bergner's gone.
I don't know how to use it though.
You should be just press the button.
I'm Tom O'Donnell, 6th Division. I came on in 1940 with it till the day it went down. This here lady here to my right is my sister Mary Ann and her husband Ward Sullivan from Overland Park, Kansas.
Walter, you don't have to applaud.
I'm Cy Simmons. I went on 1937. I stayed on there till it blew up. And this lady here is my wife Ellen. Escorted me all the way down here.
I'm Sam Hall Jones. I came on board on April 20th, 1930, and I had significant ad living. I eventually got married on April 20th, but I must say in passing that that's also Hitler's birthday. But anyhow, I stayed on that until the 30th of June of 1933, and I was in the radio gang, radio man second class, and I had transferred to Fleet Air Base there. Then I disappeared into anonymity.
You never did it.
Why? Well, I mentioned I got married. Oh yes, I did get married. I said on April 20th, and here she is, this lovely young creature.
Yeah, you're gonna catch hell when you get home, Sam. Man.
I'm Jerry Tesoro, my wife Rita. I reported aboard the Oklahoma in June 1937. I left her in August of 1941. I watched her get the first torpedo hit, I believe, at Pearl Harbor.
Harold Caton, went aboard in 1940 and off it when it capsized. That's my wife's name.
John Granpree, I went aboard January 41 till December. My wife Tina.
Alpha, 2nd Division, Aurora, Illinois. Went aboard in 40, early January 40, and left her when she went down, and this is my bride, Leona. Pat Hall, my wife Dee, went aboard in 1937, base Florida.
It was season 1932 to September 1937.
Good year.
Kyle Jorgensen, my wife Elsie. I was in H Division, went on in early 37 and left in September of 39.
They're all babies, aren't they?
My name is Wilbur Keeper. This is my wife Jean. I went aboard in 1939 and left December 7th.
I'm Kate Thomas, widow of John S. Thomas. He was a yeoman 3rd class, 1917 to 1919. I'm Bee Myers, widow of Don Myers. He was on in 17 and 18.
I went aboard 1917 and enlisted for duration.
Jerry
Jarrett. Aboard the U.S. Oklahoma 1917.
Max Poindexter and my wife Evelyn. I went aboard in 1936 and 1940. I was in the 5th Division.
The name is Leo Wing. My wife Betty. I was fireman 1st, 1938 to March of 1940. I'm Bob Anderson. Used to be Andy Anderson on there. My wife Glenn. I went aboard in the Navy Yard in 37. I was in the 5th Division with Al and Mike and Link and them, and transferred into the Storekeeper's gang. Left in January of 1940.
I'm Charlie Burns, 5th Division. My wife Doris.
We spent from 40 to 41 on the Oak.
Charlie, while you're up, we want to acknowledge your great help. You were bartending up there for a long, long time. Thanks. Even though you stole a bunch of drinks, we don't care.
My name is Kevin Clifford, and I 7th Division, and this is my wife Joyce. Oh, I was on the ship from 39 to 41.
My name is Roy Stewart, my wife Pauline. I went aboard the Oklahoma May 1926. I left her December 7, 1941.
Hey, incidentally, before you talk, folks, that little guy that got up, don't let him fool you. That little stinker was a championship wrestler on the Oklahoma when I was on there.
My name is Louis P. Smith. I was in deck force. I went aboard in 1923, left in 1927. Went back again in 1937, stayed till 1939.
Couldn't make up your mind, huh?
I'm Tony Ciccone. I went aboard in 1929, left in 1936. I was in the 1st Division and the Master Army Force.
Bob Elliott, D Division, 1935 to 38. That's my wife Jane.
Rudy Costello, S Division, 1935, 1938. This is my wife, Frederica, and I have my 2 guests, my son and daughter-in-law.
Now, folks, now you're not playing the game. You don't have to applaud. It's taking up time. It's a big deal. He was on there for a couple of months, so they're cheering and applauding him.
I'm Wes Moss. I went on in April of 39. Quit when she quit. I didn't bring my wife in. She got sick just before we come. She cried.
I'm Richard Goings. I got on the ship approximately 8 o'clock December the 7th. Got off 7 o'clock December the 8th.
I'm Vince Stoll. I was in Fire Control Division. On board in February of 40. Left with everybody else on the 7th. My wife, Lyda.
Jim Stallings went aboard in 1940, December 7, 41, 4th Division.
John Bozak, November 39 and November 41. I left it like Virginia.
Bob Maroney. I went aboard April 1st, 1940. Unfortunately, I was transferred October the 17th, 1941. I have with me my wonderful wife, Eileen, and our good friend, Red Young, both of whom were Navy nurses.
Okay, even applause for that. Is it true, homie, that you were selling aspirin and told those guys it was penicillin?
No, I was selling alcohol. You bought a lot of it.
I'm George DeLong. I went aboard in mid-1941, and I left at about 4 o'clock on December the 8th. My wife, Jean.
My name is Jim Bounds. I went aboard in 1940, and I left 8th of December 1940. This is my wife, Ruby, and this is my niece, Shirley.
Russell Davenport, my wife Wanda, I went aboard April 1940, and got off December the 8th.
What's the matter with your wife? Was going to introduce her, Russ?
You did.
Oh, did? Okay, I'm sorry. Because the last wife you had was a redhead, so you got me kind of
My name is Bob West, and my lovely wife Mary went aboard in June of 1940 and left with the rest of these people in 1941. Thank you.
My name is Paul Whittier. This is my wife Jean. I was in the Signal Corps from early of 41 until December 7th.
Murphy Taylor, I went aboard Oklahoma in 36 and come off December the 7th, 1941.
Max Pickard, I went aboard September the 13th, 1922. Got discharged the 5th of August. 4th of August, 1926. Our lovely wife, Dora, and my daughter, Meg.
My name is Ernest Johnson. I went aboard and this is my wife Mary. And I went aboard to Oklahoma in May 1935 and I left in September 1940.
Hey, wait.
I'm the widow of Francis P. Harris, H Division, who went on at 37 and came off at 39.
My name is Jack Saul. I went aboard in April of 1940. I came off the ship in 1941 in the summer. And this, my companion, is Laura Blanchard Lynch. Her husband was killed on the Oklahoma December the 7th.
Martin Hamlin, Miss Ruth. I went in 36, come out in 40. I'll be here again next year.
My name is Bill Henley. My wife Isla went aboard in 1938 and 41.
Just for a quick reminder, the gentleman just got up is going to be our ambassador in Wilmington, North Carolina for the next reunion.
I'm Don Sable. I went aboard in 1930 and I left in 1941. This is my wife and your sweetheart, Elma.
Van, let me interrupt you again. Alma, stand up, honey, will you? We want these people to look at you.
Cliff Fighter B Division, 1938, my wife Maxine.
I am Mike Bennett, and this is my wife Pauline. I went aboard the OK in 1923 and left in 1927.
Todd, my wife Ann, 4041.
There's 1940, 41, got my wife Pat, my grandson Eddie.
Ed Bedlow and Gracie. I was in Oklahoma from 36 to 41.
Melvin Vaughn, my wife Virginia. I went aboard October of 1940 and come off December the 7th.
Warren Garrison, 2nd Division, this is my wife, Bob. I went aboard January 36, left July 39.
My name is John Hine. This is my wife, Clara. I went aboard the Oklahoma in 1937, very last part of 1937, and left in 41.
My name is Jan Kosky, Chester's given name. This is my wife Clara. I went aboard in September 41 and got off December 7th.
Chester, we want to thank you also for the good job that you did bartending with you and Charlie. The only thing is, I think you drank more than Charlie did.
You finished?
Yes, sir.
My name is Jack Chasro. This is my wife, Ann. I went aboard October 1940 and departed real fast, 41.
My name is Herman Heinrichs. My wife Lorraine went aboard September 41, left suddenly September 7th.
Charles Risher, my wife Coletta, U.S. Marine Detachment, went aboard in October 1941 and left when the war started.
I'm Carl Van Alstein. I went on October 41 and got off December 7th. This is my wife Eula.
Smith, this is my wife Sandra. Went aboard in March 1941, left December 7th, 41.
My precious wife of 40 years. I was on there 40 and 41. Second time is the best time.
My name is Al Ellis, 1940-41. My wife Penny. While I've got the mic, I'd like to make two announcements and thank Mr. Leo McFarland for bringing Mr. Jarrett. He drove all night long to get him here for the convention. Also, for our drawing money, I'd like to say that we've got $487.
I'm Al Hotel. I went aboard in 1936 in September. This is my lovely wife, Marlene. And I left December the 7th. You probably remember me as the old gatecock.
I went aboard the Oklahoma in 1930 and left in 1933. I was assigned to ship service. I ran the get-out stand, and when I left, I sold the ship back to the Oklahoma.
Roger K. Fencer, U.S. Marine Corps, went aboard the Oklahoma in 1934 and got off in June of 1936 when she came back from Europe. The Marines were not on the ship when she went to Europe. They left us at Norfolk. That's Norfolk, Norfolk.